Today is, what's today? January 18th, 2020. Into the new year. This is going to be episode 2, season 1, episode 2 of Money Talks with Becoming Financially Fit. Today we have our guest, Johnny Deckman, one of my longtime friends. I've known Johnny for years now, ever since college. So, Johnny, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So we got an interesting show today. We're going to be talking about the diamond business, right? Because Johnny Deckman is a diamond dealer here in New York in the Diamond District. So,
well, I'm not exactly in the Diamond District anymore because we'll get into it. But the Diamond District is a unique place in the city of New York. You have all these unique places. You have Chinatown. You have all these places. Diamond District is in a world of its own.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. But first off, I'll just tell you guys how we met. So I met Johnny back in college, like I said. We went to the Ohio State University. And Johnny lived a couple streets over from me. We became friends after I stopped playing football in college, and we both moved out here around the same time. So it's been great. It's been a great friendship. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm into it.
But Johnny, what I'll let you do now is I'll kind of let you explain, your background, your upbringings from Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, and then, kind of through college and how you got out here to New York.
Okay, well, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, or Cleveland Heights specifically. I moved to Beechwood, a largely Jewish area. Mm-hmm. My mom was a lawyer. She went to Ohio State for law school, and she moved around. She was from originally Jersey, and my dad was a colonel in the United States Air Force. Well, he was a lieutenant colonel when I was born. We moved out to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for a couple of years, and then we moved back to Ohio once he retired. I went, unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 13.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Colonel Deckman.
Colonel Deckman, Legion of Merit, beloved husband and father. But he went to Ohio State for his master's too, so Ohio State was kind of inevitable for me. So I went to Ohio State. I majored in economics, and I had an affinity for international trade. I was very interested in the Middle East and stuff like that, and obviously Israel. In Israel, the first line in the economy of Israel part of the Wikipedia article is the diamond business. It's the first line, literally. Mm-hmm. It says diamond exports are the largest part of or one of the largest parts of the Israeli economy. And my mom had a longtime friend that actually had the same birthday as I did, and I've been celebrating with him since I was 4. Mm-hmm. And he was the proprietor, or the owner of a very large diamond house in Cleveland. Thousands of stones.
When you say diamond house, is that like a?
It's a wholesaler. Okay. It's an importer and a wholesaler.
Okay, and explain that before we get into anything else.
Well, so there's multiple tranches in the diamond business. There's the miners, which is Alrosa in Russia. They mine the goods. They prospect the area. They decide whether or not it's a profitable operation. They dig a gigantic hole, and they have the engineers, they have the geologists, they have all these people that are telling them whether or not it's going to be a profitable operation. From prospect to groundbreaking is several years. It's not just, I found a diamond on the ground, I'm digging a gigantic hole here. And then you have the site holders, or essentially the site holders, which I'll get into later, but they're the guys that buy the rough. They buy the rough.
And the rough is?
The rough are the rough diamonds. They look like salt that you would put on the ground when it's icy out. Mm-hmm. It's not these beautiful polished diamonds that I deal with. And you have the site holders that sell to the wholesalers. Wholesalers sell to the retailers sell to the end user. So I worked for a wholesaler. They import stones from Israel, from Russia, from India, and he was a diamond wholesaler. It was a company that started in the early 1900s with his I think it was his grandfather. Mm-hmm. And I had been very close family friends with him for a very long time. And so in school, I got interested in international trade, and I got interested in non-fungible goods, something that could be traded internationally but is not fungible. So gold, yep. You have 0.999 gold, a kilo of it. Mm-hmm. If I give you one of those and you give me one back, I have no qualms about it. Mm-hmm. Because they're the same. They're fungible. They're 0.9. One gold bar is the same as another gold bar because they're 0.999. They're pure, and then it's gold.
Yep.
But with a diamond, if I give you a certain 2-carat diamond, you give me one back, the difference in the price of those two and the difference of the value of those two could be thousands of dollars.
Exactly. And we're going to get into those differences, right?
Yeah, we'll get into those differences later. But I was interested in something that could be traded internationally, but it's not fungible because fungible is boring. Like one barrel of oil is the same as another barrel of oil. Mm-hmm. It's just oil.
Yep.
But diamonds aren't the same as that. I mean, if I need to go to a border crossing, let's say in Uzbekistan, and I need to get across for some reason, if I have a pocket full of stones and I hand it to the border guard, I'm across. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. He sees diamonds, it's money. Yep. If I hand him $1, he's like, I can't use this. If I hand him diamonds, it's
a done deal.
There's no question.
Exactly.
So I started with him because I just was interested in that stuff, and kind of that's how I am here. I moved out here with no job. Like I was in it. Like
I want to talk about that. So you moved out here. When did you move to New York?
I moved to New York in February of 2017.
February 2017. Right before I came in December of 2016. And I want to know how you actually got into the diamond business here in New York, because being a diamond dealer here in the district, it's one of the hardest things to do. It's hardest things to break in, I would say.
Yeah.
So how did you go about that journey of doing that?
Because I applied to a job at a diamond dealer, like at a pretty large, like 3,000, 4,000 stones inventory, and I just applied to it. And I had the background, I had the GIA certification, I had the eyes for the goods, mm-hmm. and I met with him once, and he hired me. But it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. It was.
And what were you doing in that role?
I feel bad about it because I was selling bad diamonds. I don't like looking. I was selling the diamonds that nobody else wanted to buy at very cheap prices.
What is a bad diamond?
A bad diamond.
For people out there that don't know, so Johnny went to the GIA to get a certification. And when you have that certification, you can kind of, by eye, tell good diamonds from bad diamonds. And so, Johnny, describe what a bad diamond would be.
Well, I'll start with what the GIA is. The GIA is the Gemological Institute of America. Mm-hmm. It's the foremost authority in diamond grading.
And so you hear a lot of rappers all the time
saying VVS and VS, like chain all VS.
Those are the categories given from the GIA.
Yeah, they're the categories that are, well, it's not specifically from the GIA, but the GIA is kind of the foremost authority in it.
Yep.
So there's diamond clarity, and there's diamond color, and there's cut, and there's carat weight. There's the 4 C's. Mm-hmm. So like, you go to a jewelry store, they say, I'm going to tell you about the 4 C's. So carat weight is obviously how much the stone weighs. And a big misconception is that carat is the size of the stone. It's not the size of the stone. It's the weight of the stone.
So stones can be denser than...
Yeah, it's just what it weighs. A carat is 1/5 of a gram. Mm-hmm. So you can have let's say you have this water bottle here. Mm-hmm. This weighs a certain amount. This has a certain amount of mass. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it from this, it doesn't look very big, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So it's a deep item.
Okay.
It's deep.
Yeah.
So it carries a lot of its weight in the bottom of it. So let's say I have this mounted up in a ring. Mm-hmm. You go like this, it doesn't look very big. So carat weight is not the size of the stone.
Okay.
It's the weight.
Okay, that's the first C.
So this can be a certain amount of carats, mm-hmm. and I could sell you a 5-carat stone, but if 1,000,000% of it is in the bottom of it, doesn't look very large.
Yeah.
So that's a common misconception, is that carat weight is size, it's weight. And then there's cut, which is, you have your ovals, you have your marquise, which is like kind of like, oval with edges. Yeah. And then you have, your princess cuts, your cushions, you have all that stuff. That's basically kind of it's personal preference with that.
The cut, yeah, it's up to you. Whatever you want, or your significant other, whatever they want, right?
The classic is the round stone, obviously the round brilliant. Mm-hmm. But then you have the ovals. Ovals are very popular, but I'll get into that later. But the cut, the color and the clarity are the two things that really the GIA really sits on. Okay. It's the color is from D to Z, mm-hmm. and then it goes into fancy colors, and then the clarity is from flawless to I3.
And flawless is the best.
Personal preference, honestly.
Really?
Yes.
But in terms of dollar-wise,
the flawless is the most expensive.
Okay.
But I know that there are companies out there that will intentionally create an inclusion in a stone to make it not a flawless stone.
Really?
Because it brings the price down and makes it more easily sellable item.
Oh, wow. So I want to hear about more specifically. So you moved out here. You were based in Jersey first before you came over to New York, where you're based. And you got your first job in the Diamond District. You said you didn't like it, right? And you said you were wholesaling bad stones.
I was wholesaling stones that nobody wanted to buy.
When you say nobody wanted to buy, you're not selling to customers, retail customers like myself or our team members, right? You're selling to other shops within the Diamond District.
No, I was selling to stores.
Stores, okay.
Stores, but they were like pawn shop tier stores. They weren't gigantic Rolex dealers. They were stores that had customers with lower budgets that would buy stones that are included or deep or.
What does included mean?
Included means that there's a crystal within the stone that the diamond lattice was formed around.
That's not good.
It's not good because it's either visible with the eye or it just doesn't look like a nice diamond. It's either cut wrong or it's included or it's a deep stone. Like I said, like the Fiji water bottle is like it's deep, so when its face is up, it doesn't look as large as the weight is. But I felt intellectually dishonest selling these diamonds because I felt like I was selling crap to people.
Yeah.
I mean, because diamonds are beautiful things, and they're inherently beautiful.
And in your craft, you would never want to do that.
Yeah, it's like working at a used car lot, and I have no problem with people that are working at used car lots because they fill a niche in the market. Mm-hmm. They sell lower priced items to lower budget people.
Yep.
But I love diamonds so much that I felt bad selling these goods.
Now let me ask you this question. What is it like to work here in the Diamond District in New York?
It's a madhouse.
What do you mean?
I've never seen more people just huddled on the sidewalk, in the middle of the sidewalk, doing business. These people are swapping 5 caraters, 10 caraters, in a crappy piece of paper to each other. I mean, in the movie Uncut Gems, in the trailer, there's a guy sitting behind a counter, and he reaches over and he hands Adam Sandler a manila envelope. That's how the business works.
So that's the real deal.
And in the manila envelope could be anything. It could be a 10 carat diamond. It could be a 20 carater. It could be a 30 carat. It could be anything worth from like $200 worth of Melly, which are small diamonds, to 35 carat D flawless, but they all come in the manila envelope. It doesn't matter. Like nobody delivers them using a sweet box or something. It's all in the manila envelope. Okay. Manila envelope is law down in the Diamond District. And
so how did you start to navigate your way through that as a newcomer to the district and the diamond business as a whole?
When people ask me if I'm buying or selling, say, I see you every day, bro. I'm not buying and I'm not selling.
So you don't do anything on the street?
I don't do anything on the street because it's not that it's dangerous. It's that it's a bit shady. It's because it's not that it's shady like somebody's gonna rob me. It's that shady that they just don't pay very much for it.
Yeah. Okay.
And since they buy off the street all the time, it's not an interesting market to be in, but it's a very interesting place to be in.
Okay.
Because the Diamond District is unlike any other place in New York City. Well, actually, probably in the world. Because the Diamond District is just, it's like there's 5 million cigarette butts on the ground because there's 5 million different nationalities that work there. You have your Persians, you have your Bukharians, which are like Jews from Uzbekistan. You have your Hasidim, you have your Asians, you have Hispanics, you have everything down there, and it's all coming together just as a crazy, just melting pot of everybody just trying to do some business. It's like
every day.
It just never stops.
Does it stop at let's say 5 p.m.?
No, it stops probably at 6:30. But 2:00 on Friday.
2:00 on Friday.
Yeah. Shabbos, baby.
So now this is money talk. So I'm gonna ask some hard hitting questions.
Go for it.
What was your base salary as an incoming diamond dealer here in New York?
Here in New York, $15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
2% commission. But back in Cleveland, it was $15 an hour as well. But I was sorting Melly, and Melly is an important part of the diamond business. Melly is stones under 0.13 carats.
Yeah.
Smallest stuff.
How did you survive off $15 plus the 2% commission?
I lived in Jersey for free.
With your folks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? I mean, I met some people. I needed my break in. I walk through the district and I see 3 or 4 people I know every day. They always shake my hand. They ask me for what's good for business. And I mean, it's about connections. The diamond business is about connections. It's like if somebody calls me for just
your word is bond.
Yeah, my word is bond. It's Mazal.
Yeah.
I'll explain Mazal later.
Okay.
But if somebody calls me that they want to sell me something, and I don't recognize the number. I don't know any of that. I'm like, I don't think we're buying right now. But if I recognize the phone number, yeah, bring it in.
Okay. And now, usually, how is money made when you're selling a diamond in the diamond district?
Selling a diamond in the diamond district, you have to be a
let me preface this for the person who's selling it, the salesman, which you would be, but also for the company that owns the diamond as well.
Somebody that owns the diamond probably bought it very well. I mean, I work in the business of the nicest stones in the world. I don't work in the business of the bread and butters anymore. I used to, but now I work.
And this is the Mecca for stones.
Yeah, I mean, New York is the Mecca, Antwerp is the Mecca, Ramat Gan is the Mecca, Mumbai. But selling in the diamond district is a little difficult because they have so many people, other people around them that are trying to sell them. They're trying to give them the best price. So they're trying to give them the strongest prices possible. But sometimes that's just not easy because a lot of the diamonds, like I told you, are coming from India, and they have a lot of stringent regulations there that say you cannot adjust the price this much. So it was difficult for me to sell when I was working for an Indian company. Now it's not so hard.
And where do you work now?
I work for Nader Cash.
Okay.
And Nader Cash is a company that's known just in the diamond business for having the nicest fancy shaped diamonds in the world.
What are fancy shaped diamonds?
Fancy shaped diamonds are diamonds that are not round brilliant. And so fancy shapes are a little bit more difficult to gauge because round stones by the GIA, they have a cut grade, meaning like, you take a 2 carat, say it's a D flawless, so we don't have to talk about inclusions. You take 2 carat D flawless with an excellent cut grade, an excellent polish, and excellent symmetry, which are things that are gauged by the GIA. You take another 2 carat D flawless, excellent cut, excellent polish, excellent symmetry, and they look almost exactly the same because it has a cut grade. So they have the same light return, they have all the same of that stuff. Fancy shapes, they don't have a cut grade. So you really have to look at the stone to know what it.
You have to eye it out personally.
Yeah, you have to eye it out. And our stones, they're just phenomenal. They're the nicest stones in the world. I have companies that have 8,000 stones in inventory calling me for one of our diamonds because they just there's nothing else like it out there. So in return of having the nicest fancy shapes, we have a little bit of higher prices, but you put those 2 stones together like next to each other, there's no comparison.
Okay, now how do you make money?
How do I make money?
Yes, how do you make money in the diamond business personally?
Selling, prospecting, selling jewelry.
Yeah.
Because if you put one of my eternity bands next to another eternity band, my stones are all matched way better. You put one of my line bracelets next to somebody else's line bracelet. Line bracelet is wonky. It's got bow ties in the stones. It's like the stones there's eye visible inclusions in it. And everything is just made so well. And I make money doing private clients.
Okay, and on a typical sale, right? A typical sale throughout the week, somebody calls you and say, "Hey, I need a certain type of diamond."
Is it a private client or is it a store?
I want you to explain both, and I want you to explain how your commission structure or your pay is based in both of those situations for the people that maybe wanting to get into the diamond business, right? And they're just wondering, how do I really make money as a salesman?
Well, store. Usually they're established stores, so I don't make commission on that. But do
you have a base?
Yeah, I have a base.
What's your base?
My base is 48 grand.
48?
Yeah.
Okay. So your base is 48. You don't make commission on store sales. Private clients is where you make your money. Okay, now explain that a little bit for the people.
Private clients are people that we bring in. They need to get engaged. So they come in and I show them stones, I show them mountings, I show them all that stuff, and they choose either, one of the stones that I give them, and then I pick out a mounting, I send it to the manufacturer, I finish it up, and they're happy.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they don't even come in.
All over the phone.
Over the phone, over text message,
emails, everything.
Yeah.
Social media as well.
Social media is a lot of my stuff is done via DM.
Yeah. I want to, and so I actually got some questions from our viewers. We have some viewers actually on the YouTube and also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything like that. And they had a couple questions. One of the questions was, are diamonds good investments as compared to other precious metals? Because, let me preface this, a lot of people like gold, right? Or they want to buy into silver. What's your read on, are diamonds good investments?
Diamonds are good investments as long as you still have the diamond. It's hard to explain because you try to resell a diamond to somebody on the street, they're going to give you maybe 50% of what you paid for it.
50%? Maybe. But
the reason why I gauge it that way is because a lot of people buy diamonds for way overvalued.
Mm-hmm.
They'll buy a diamond from K Jewelers, they'll buy a diamond from Zales, they'll buy a diamond from Jared, they'll buy a diamond from their local pawn shop.
And is that because they see all of the commercials every single day for those companies?
Yeah, I think that they. I wouldn't exactly call a diamond buying process a snap decision.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say I've had a lot of private clients that are like, "Yo, I need this now."
Yeah.
So they see that stuff on TV and they're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go buy that."
Okay.
They get hooked into it and they buy a kind of a crappy stone, thick girdle, a deep stone, included stone for way over value. And then when they go to resell it, they get 50% back. So they don't see it as an investment, but it is an investment considering if you still own the stone and you know what the stone's worth, you're not going to take, pawn shop money for it.
Yeah.
So yes, it is a safe investment because like I said at the beginning of the show, you can do anything with it. You can go anywhere with it.
My question for you, if I were to come to you and say, hey, Johnny, instead of buying a CD from a bank that's going to pay me 1% or 2%, and they have to hold my money for, let's say, a year, 3 years or something like that, I want to put $5,000 into a diamond. Will it hold its value, let's say, in a year's time?
Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Because you give me $5,000, I find you the best diamond for $5,000. I don't just go and look at, I don't go to a store and go look at the price tag and buy the first $5,000 item I see.
How do you go through that process? Explain to the people.
How do I go through that process is that I know what a nice diamond is. And a nice diamond is not color clarity. It's a formula. It's really, you got to take this $5,000 and you got to really put it together and you got to do the best combination of color, clarity, and size and spread of the stone and how it looks and how it faces up and how it reflects light. You take all those things together and you take that $5,000 and you buy the best diamond for that money. That's how it holds its value because that stone will always be worth something because people will look at it as
But my question for you, will it be worth at least $5,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But you have to buy the right one.
You have to buy the correct one. You have to have somebody that has an eye for it. You can't just go out and buy a $5,000 diamond looking at a price tag because somebody is going to sell you a $5,000 diamond. Somebody's going to sell you a $5,000 bridge. Somebody's going to sell you a $5,000 stapler.
Yeah. So
if you have $5,000 to spend and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to buy a $5,000 like Toyota Taurus.
And I feel like that's what anything.
Or Ford Taurus, whatever.
If you go into your broker and you say, hey, I want $5,000 of investments, they're going to sell you what they make the most commission off of.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
They're gonna sell you the thing that they can buy below market and then make commission off of it.
How do you build trust in the diamond business?
Build trust in the diamond business by not being a diamond dealer. That's really how it is. That's how I build trust. Like I will sit next to somebody at a lot of my clients come from the bar or like from like standing next to somebody on the street. You just chit chat with them and they become a client because you're not talking about selling them the first second that you talk to them because that's not what it's about. It's about building a rapport. It's about building trust. It's like I sit down, I'm watching football with somebody at the bar and he sees that my watch and but we've been talking about something else for the first 30 minutes and he says, hey, I need to get engaged.
Yeah.
Give me your card. It's not like, hey bro, it looks like you have a girlfriend. Do you want to buy a diamond from me?
If you see someone in the bar You see they have nice taste. They maybe have a nice watch on, or they ask about your watch that you have on. And you start to get into that conversation and build a rapport. How long from that conversation into them buying a stone does it usually take for you?
I wouldn't be able to put an average on it, but...
Or is it a long process where you're just building that rapport, building relationships, and eventually someone says, hey, you know what? I can trust Johnny. I'm going to go with him and buy a diamond.
It's usually the latter.
Okay.
It's like it just comes up. It's not like a thing that I lead with because like why?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a sleazy salesman. I mean, I'm not that much of a sleazy salesman, but but like I don't make I don't make a huge amount of money off of stores. Private clients is kind of where it's at. But the thing is that they're still saving $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 off of going to K Jewelers.
And that can be huge when you're shopping for something like an engagement ring or a wedding ring.
Yeah, a wedding ring. A wedding ring is a wedding ring is kind of a different animal than an engagement ring because a wedding ring is kind of they're more like we said, they're a little bit more fungible. It's usually just for men it's just a gold band, and for women it's just kind of a channel set like small stones. But the engagement ring, I make a very large amount of profit from the engagement ring, but I'm still saving them thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. Okay, so we're gonna get into that here in a bit. This is going to be a fun little sequence. I'm going to ask you a question for those viewers out there that, will probably be getting engaged or married within the next 3 or 4 years, right? And they're saying, this is for the guys out there, how do I go about searching for my engagement ring or my wedding ring? And I'm going to start it with this question. Let's say I walk into a diamond store and I'm looking for an engagement ring. What's the first thing I should do?
Walk out. You don't go to a diamond store for an engagement ring.
Where do you go?
You go to a broker. You go to a dealer. You go to a friend. You go to a friend of a friend. You don't go to a diamond store. You don't go to a floor level store.
What do you mean when you say floor level?
Floor level is like on the lower level of 47th Street.
So if you walk into a diamond store on, let's say 47th, which is the Diamond District in New York, never buy anything from them.
Absolutely not.
Now where would I go?
You go to a trusted dealer. Because they and we have manufacturers that it's a little difficult to explain. And if you want, if you know somebody on the street on 47th Street, absolutely go to them. But don't ever walk off the street and make a snap decision like that, because it's not a snap decision. Like, this is supposed to be something that's very special between you and your significant other. And going onto a floor level street, a street level store is a little bit, seems snappy. I mean, if you know somebody and you've been looking in the window and you've been doing this and you've been doing that for a while, yeah, go for it. But it's not something you kind of just walk off the street, walk off the sidewalk into a store to do. It's more complicated than that. There's more prospecting. It's like the same way that Alrosa had to prospect this mine in Russia for 15 years before they decide to break ground. Same way you should prospect your your engagement ring.
Okay, and how would I go about finding a broker if I'm just looking online? Things I know about and what the viewers probably or the listeners probably know about are things like Tiffany Diamonds.
Of course. Tiffany, David
Zales,
Yurman.
K Jewelers, David Yurman, these huge diamond dealers. How do you go about finding a broker? And like you said, a trusted broker to know you're getting the best deal.
Well, it could be a broker, it could be a dealer, but to know you're getting the best deal is really just I'm not saying shop around, because it kind of destroys the trust when customers shop around, but it's a smart shopping decision. But everybody knows a diamond dealer. Everybody does. I can ask you, you have you say one of your family members in Columbus asks, hey, I want to get married. You know somebody.
Exactly.
You say,
yeah.
I know Johnny Deckman.
Yeah.
And, there's lots of degrees of separation that can still be used to reach somebody that knows the, diamonds and knows the diamond business can get the best prices for you. But there's some people that are just they're eager, or they're not very well connected.
You should never rush into it, right?
Absolutely not.
And let's say you have a budget, maybe $5,000 to $10,000, which I think is reasonable for an engagement/wedding ring. How do I stay in budget?
$5,000 to $10,000 is a huge gap. You know, there's tranches in.
Explain those.
It's okay. So I'm gonna go into something that might be a little bit complicated for viewers, but I'm not trying to talk down. But I'm just saying that it's a lot of information to intake.
Okay.
So you know multiplication tables, correct?
Yes.
It's like you have 5 and you have 2, and you go together where they meet, and it's 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's the pricing structure of diamonds is kind of like that. So let's start at a carat and go up. So 1 carat up to 1.49 carats. It has a price sheet made by Martin Rappaport, who's kind of an authority in the diamond business, really the guy who prices stones based on market forces and based on rarity and based on things like that.
Uh-huh.
So you have 1 to 1.49 carats, and you have D to, I think M color, and then you have the clarities. So if you take a D flawless, you go D, then you have FL, and you go together, and that's the price per carat that Martin prices it at.
And that price is what you would sell it for.
That price is what Martin says the price is, and every dealer works off a discount of that. So if I say I'm selling this for 30 below, which means I'm saying 30% off that price per carat that's on that list.
And it's a pretty commonplace to sell it for a percentage below.
Yeah.
Always,
and that's that. And like, so if I have a 190, which is direct, it's like very close to 2 carats. Mm-hmm. I sell it for a much lower, like a much smaller discount, like maybe like 5 below. Then I'll sell a 151 because the second you go to 2 carats, it jumps. The price jumps.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, I own after 5.99, it's really just a crapshoot on what the diamond is priced at. So, like, when let's say you recut a stone to a higher clarity, you recut it, you cut out an inclusion.
You can do that?
Yeah.
How?
Let's say the inclusion's on the girdle of the stone, which is like the outside. Let's say the inclusion's out there. You can recut the girdle and cut out the inclusion, and the clarity goes up.
Wow.
You resubmit it to the GIA, and the clarity goes up.
Wow.
So you automatically jump up on the price sheet the second you do that with the same stone.
But if you recut, it doesn't take some of the weight out.
It takes some of the weight out, but if you stay within that pricing structure, like let's say I have a 165 that I cut down to a 159, it's still between 150 and 199.
And so you're still going to be in that price bracket in order for you to make the money.
Yeah, and you're still in that price bracket, but it jumps up on the list. The price of the stone and the value of the stone jumps up on the list because you cut out that inclusion, but it stays within that pricing structure for that size. I mean, for that carat weight.
Does that happen a lot?
People do it all the time.
Really? So they get a diamond that's already been graded by the GIA.
Yeah.
They recut it to remove the inclusions or just to reshape it or something like that.
To get like a very good symmetry instead of a good symmetry. And
okay. So I'm kind of like catching on now. I'm a little slow. I'm catching on. Right. So let's say I buy a diamond that has an inclusion, right? And because it has an inclusion, I get a discount for it.
Right.
Now let's say I know an excellent cutter, right? They recut it. I get it regraded from the GIA. That's how you make your money as a diamond dealer.
Well, that's one way.
Okay.
I mean, how you make your money as a diamond dealer is just selling diamonds, but that's a way to increase the value of a stone that you already own without really spending much money on it. It's
in that recut process, how long does it take and how much?
Couple days.
That's it.
Couple days.
Wow. So you can buy something on a Monday
and have it recut, and by Friday it might be worth thousands of dollars more.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like let's say I buy a round stone with a very good cut grade.
Yeah.
Send it to my cutter, he cuts it to an excellent cut grade. I resubmit it to the GIA. A couple days later, I get a report from the GIA that says it's excellent cut grade. Stone just went up in value by 10%, 20%.
And you can have it out the door that same week.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because you need to make sure that you send it to the right person. You can't just have some bootleg cutter do it. You need to, I mean, sometimes, like for instance, the 300 carat stone. This is the largest deflawless stone in the world. It's it was cut from a 1100 carat piece of rough mined in Botswana. It was bought by Graf. Graf is one of the largest guys. There's Graf, there's Kwiat, there's David Yurman, there's Tiffany, there's like those guys. But Graf and Kwiat and like De Beers are like the main people. So Graf bought a
De Beers.
Yeah, De Beers. We'll get into De Beers, but De Beers is less influential than it used to be.
Okay.
But Graf bought an 1,100 carat piece of rough, excuse me, from, I don't know, whoever mined in Botswana. And they spent, I believe, $150 million on the piece of rough.
Oh my God, 150
Yeah,
million?
it was about the size. Let's see if there's anything here that's like the size of it.
About the size of your fist, right?
Yeah, it was like this big. And so they cut it 60 diamonds off of it in order to get to the center of this, to the center of the rough, in order to cut this large stone. So they cut, I think, like 2 over 20 carat pear shapes that were deflawless, or I'm not entirely sure if they were deflawless, but they were close.
Yeah.
And they cut anything from under a carat to over 20 carats off of the stone in order to get to the center of the stone, which would be a flawless stone. And they cut a 303 carat asher, which is a square emerald. I don't know. Well, asher is like kind of a branded term. I'm not sure if it was actually an asher.
Yeah.
But it was a square emerald, and it was a 303 carat deflawless square emerald from the center of the stone, which is the largest deflawless stone in the world. It's about this big.
Man, that's crazy.
And I would say at auction, I don't know, I can't even say what it would go for at auction, but I'm sure that they're getting a return on their investment on the 150 million.
Wow.
Because like even like a 23 carat pear shape deflawless, that these are just like the side stones that they cut off of it. That would probably be a $2, $3, $4 million stone.
Okay, and so what's the largest stone you've ever held?
The largest stone I've ever held is a 50 carat fancy intense yellow. I think it was a radiant. No, it was a cushion. It was like a paperweight, but it's not the most expensive stone I ever held.
What's the most expensive stone you've ever held?
The most expensive one I've ever held is a 42 carat DVVS1 square emerald.
And how much was it?
I think like if you were to sell to a retail customer,
Yeah. If I wanted to buy, how much would you sell
over
it to?
$10 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what they have going on here in the Diamond District here in New York.
That's what they have going on in New York and LA and Antwerp and Ramadan. That's really where India is doing like lots of cutting operations, but they're cutting bread and butter goods. They're cutting GHSI1 rounds, like 150, like 30 pointers, which is 0.3 carats up to 2 carats, like the stuff that a retail customer would buy.
Okay, and so I want to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about something that is probably near and dear to a lot of our viewers, but this is going to be Instagram jewelers.
Instagram jewelers
Entertainment jewelers, people who we've probably heard their name. They've probably been in a rap song, right?
Greguna, Eliante, Pristine,
Ben Baller.
Yeah. Ben Baller.
So Johnny Dang as well.
Yeah.
And so how do those diamond dealers compare to a normal, I would say, diamond dealer? Someone who's not on Instagram, someone who's not selling to entertainers or athletes.
Well, it's kind of difficult because the guys who do the Instagram stuff, there are now more of them that are doing private clients that want an engagement ring rather than they want a custom piece or they want an iced out AP or they want something like that. And so it's kind of it's hard to explain because the private client like engagement Instagram people are growing. They are. Like Johnny Dang's been around forever. And Ben Baller's been around forever. Ben Baller used to be a producer at New Dr. Dre. That's how he got he got into it. And he's also very good.
Yeah.
Like Greg Una is also doing that kind of stuff. Like Greg Una, like Pristine I see is really, and Eliante are really the only people I see doing larger stuff, like doing larger goods. For instance, like Johnny Dang is making a grill and he has a bunch of tiny diamonds. But those are a dime a dozen for those small stones. I mean, if you want VVS small stones, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but you can do it. But the people that are finding these 20 like caraters, these 10 caraters, and these 30 caraters, these large stones are starting to break into the market a little bit more. So the rapper jewelers and the athlete jewelers, they're always going to be around. But the Instagram game is becoming a lot larger for the private jeweler. Like I have like one of my friends, he has 70,000 followers on Instagram and does a lot of private sales a month because he's just posting these insane items.
Yeah.
Like these items that people don't really see. Like I said.
So you could build a side hustle strictly off of social media.
Absolutely.
In the diamond business.
Easily.
And would he source something, let's say, from someone like yourself?
Yeah, if he needs like an insane cushion with a 120 ratio, which is like length to width, which is very hard to find. Because they're cutting diamonds now to save weight. They're not cutting them to be beautiful stones. They're cutting them to stay above 2 carats, and it's an uglier diamond, but it's above 2 carats, which means that it's still up on that pricing sheet.
Mm-hmm. And so let me ask you this question. People talk about Rolexes, APs. You have an AP on right now. Does the price of that Rolex or AP go down if you ice it out with diamonds?
Yes.
And why is that? Because you would expect the price to go up if you're adding, let's say, valuable diamonds to it. Because
you're marginalizing the market that would buy it. Because if I go out there and I have, if I go to the stock exchange and I say I have a Rolex Daytona with the white face, which has been phased out, which is a very rare item now, and I say, hey, who wants to buy this for cost?
Yeah,
everybody would raise their hand. If I have a Rolex Daytona that I drilled 30% of the gold out to replace with diamonds, and went to the stock exchange and said, who wants to buy this for below cost? People would be like, I don't need that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like it's a niche market that wants a iced out watch.
So the smart money would say, don't ice out your AP.
If you plan on owning it for your life, yeah, go for it.
If you plan on reselling it, don't do it because the value is just going to go down.
Probably not. I'm not going to say the value is going to die down, but you're going to drill out gold, which the jeweler, whoever does it, is going to keep, and they're going to resell, and you're going to reduce the market that would buy it off of you. I mean the Patek Nautilus, the stainless steel Nautilus, used to be a $30,000 watch at dealer cost. You can't find it below $99,000 these days.
That's crazy.
And this was like 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
And what raises the cost of things like a Patek or a Rolex Hulk or a Sky Dweller or something like that?
Rarity. You know how long it takes to make a Sky Dweller?
How long?
2 years.
By hand?
Yes.
Wow.
Sky Dweller takes 2 years.
And so that's what people are paying for when they buy these jewelry pieces.
Yeah. So when they buy diamonds, billions of years. Which is why there's these commercials on now about diamonds, because they're like, rare is real.
Yeah.
Because it's not man-made. And so you get a diamond and you have this sick stone on your finger that's spent billions of years under Earth's crust forming. And then people spent 15 years looking for it. And then they spend all whatever amount of time it was to cut it. And it's before the dinosaurs were here, that thing was underneath the Earth's crust. And that's why it's a special item. And that's why I'm doing just fine, even though that there's man-made diamonds on the market.
And I was going to ask you, what do you think about the diamonds that are made in the lab?
The diamonds that are made in the lab don't go to my customers. They just don't.
Would you ever sell a man-made diamond to your customers?
No.
Why not?
Because my customers expect better than that. They expect something that, how I see it is that wealthy people are always going to want the best of the best. So if they have the money to buy a diamond, they're not going to skimp.
Yeah.
And I respect that. That's fine, because they want the real thing. They don't want a synthetic stone. And though it may face up like a real stone, it's just not the same. A bunch of scientists standing around forming a stone is not the same as something being formed on Earth's crust under extremely small chances that it's going to be a gem quality piece of rough, and then extremely small chances that they could cut this beautiful stone out of that piece of rough, and an extremely small chance that they're going to find it in the first place. Like that's the inherent value that these things hold. It's just small chance after small chance after small chance.
And so if that's the case, is a natural diamond more expensive than a man-made diamond?
Absolutely. Lab-grown stones are like 70 below list.
70 below?
Yeah.
Wow. Can you tell the difference? And how do you tell the difference between something that's man-made versus something that was made in the lab?
Well, a couple of years ago, it was a lot easier. But now there's machines that sell it that that will say whether or not it's synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, they used to. I think that one of the processes of making a man-made stone involved metal. So man-made stones were slightly magnetic, and if you look into them through a loupe, you could see small traces of metal in the stone. Also, the formation of a natural diamond is very random. It's like just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But man-made stones, they used to be like kind of put into a star, and then between the arms of the star was how the diamond formed.
Mm-hmm.
So through like certain imaging, you could see that it's a man-made stone because you could see exactly where the genesis of all this stuff was, and it's like kind of shaped like a star.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'm probably gonna get married within the next couple of years. We'll see.
Idiot.
If I'm shopping for an engagement ring, should I pay for it all up front or should I finance it?
Never finance it.
Never finance it.
Because people that the people that finance are the same kind of people that will sell you a diamond for cost and then destroy you on the mounting. They'll sell you a mounting for $3,000 and they'll sell a diamond for cost.
And what's the difference between getting the diamond, just regular diamond, versus the mounting as well?
The mounting is where they make their money. Really.
Really?
I mean, they'll make slimmer margins on the diamond. It's like, 10% maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a retail store will make hand over fist on the diamond because they're buying it for very low and they're selling it for very high, and they have people that just walk in.
Yep.
But the mounting, they'll sell you the diamond for cost if it means they can make a lot of money on the mounting.
And so usually, how much would an average mounting cost, or how much should an average mounting cost?
An average mounting with melee, which is small stones in the shank, which is the circular part of the ring,
Mm-hmm.
between $1,500 and $2,500.
Okay, so that's what you...
Because it's the gold,
Yeah.
It's the diamonds in it, it's the labor. That's
So anything, if you're paying anything over that, you're probably getting robbed.
you're getting owned.
Oh, okay. So now, can you become wealthy as a diamond dealer?
Absolutely.
How?
Be good at business. Buy the right stuff, buy right and sell correctly. Buy right means like you see an item and you see a price and you look at the stone and you're like, this is a stone that I could sell like this. There's been times where there's been a diamond in my office for one day, sold the next day.
Wow.
But there's also people that don't buy right and they don't buy the right items. They don't buy the sellable items. They buy items because the price is right, and it just rots in inventory for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a consistently changing inventory and a consistently right inventory to become wealthy. Like the guy who died because he was getting a penis enlargement, he was over a billionaire. The Israeli diamond dealer, Lev Leviev, over a billionaire. Jacob and Co. I think he went to jail for for like money laundering or something. Also extremely wealthy. But if you buy the correct stuff, market forces will never affect you, because there's always going to be somebody that needs to get married, and they're always going to want the right item.
Yeah.
They don't want the crap.
It's all about supply and demand.
Yeah, they don't want the crap. They want the correct item. They're willing to pay top dollar for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel bad because I know that they're getting their money's worth, because they're buying the nicest diamonds in the world. They're not buying like garbage.
Yeah.
They're not buying an included stone that just because the GIA certificate says a certain amount, like certain thing, that they're getting their money's worth. They're buying something that holds value.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that is gorgeous. Like I sold an engagement ring to one of my friends, a couple months back, and I put out 4 stones in front of him, and the second least expensive stone was the nicest one. I was like, bro, you can have this one, you can have this one, which is like the most expensive, least expensive, but this is the correct stone. And I made less money on it, but it was just the right stone.
And I feel like if you're doing good business,
and it sold itself. He's like, dude, I didn't even look at the other stones. This one was the right one. I was like, it's, and this, if you have stones that sell themselves, it's really.
And when it comes to business, typically if you do good business, you're going to get repeat customers. You're going to get word of mouth traffic, right? And so now my question for you would be, even though you do work under a brand, Kuya.
No, I don't work for Kuya. I work for Nader Cash.
Excuse me. You work for Nader Cash. Do you ever think about starting your own business?
Eventually, I think I'm going to.
Really?
Because I think I'm going to want to branch out to exclusively privates. Mm-hmm. But I love where I work now, and I love who I work under, and I love who I work with. And our reputation is extremely good, so I have a lot of flexibility when it comes to doing business. And but eventually, I think that privates are going to be my main thing because I think I'm just better at it than It's just kind of. I don't know. I think privates are eventually going to be my main source of business.
Yeah.
Because I can relate to people and it's easy to sell to people that trust you because I would never screw them because that's your Achilles heel in the diamond business is screwing people.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is huge.
It is.
And people have been burned so badly by screwing up one time in the business. Once. You do one bad deal and nobody will work with you again.
And so for anyone out there that's looking for a diamond, do your research. Talk to someone that you can trust. Someone like Johnny Deckman, right? Because he's going to actually, help you guys navigate through the diamond buying process. If you want to have something, you're probably going to make the purchase one time, right? And you're probably going to have it forever.
Hopefully.
You don't want to make that twice.
Yeah, right.
And so I do want to wrap up by saying thank you for being on the show.
Of course, man.
But before I let you leave,
oh no,
I want you to get into some of your goals for 2020 and then some of your long-term goals as well.
Goals for 2020 is just to keep doing good business. It's to build a rapport with more of these stores and do well by my superiors and expand the private business. And some of the guys that I've sold engagement rings to in the past year, I want to give them their wedding rings. I want to do it right. I want to design them whatever they want. I want to deliver it to them, in a timely manner. And long-term goals, who knows? It's the business is never going to go away. You see a lot of older diamond dealers who back in the 1970s or 80s were doing so much more because more people were getting married back then.
Yeah.
But I don't see it that way. I'm not sitting here sulking because the business isn't what it used to be 40 years ago or 50 years ago. I'm sitting here getting ready for 2020s, like getting ready for people to keep getting engaged, getting ready for people to buy an eternity band. I'm pumped. I'm not sulking. I'm not depressed about it.
Are you pumped for them to get remarried?
Yep. Number 2, baby. But yeah, I'm getting excited about, expanding private business. I'm getting excited about, the upcoming years because the economy is doing pretty well and more people are falling back into traditional ideas of getting married, and more people are, more people that I know are falling into the careers and thinking about, next steps. So that's kind of what I'm, building my excitement on.
Okay. Well, Johnny, I want to thank you for being on episode 2 of Money Talks.
Thank you, my friend.
With Becoming Financially Fit. I'm going to post this to YouTube, including Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, pretty much anywhere on social media that you guys want to see this information, you guys can go to. And Johnny, I want to give you a chance to give us your socials.
My social media, my personal is at Johnny Deck, Jonny, D as in Delta, EZK. And I post a lot of interesting items on that. Probably every day I have a new diamond that I'm really excited about or a new layout or something. So if you want to follow me on that, you'll see some cool stuff.
Okay. And if you guys are ever looking for diamonds from the Diamond District here in New York City, you can reach out to Johnny Deckman.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.